Hi everyone, and welcome to our last live stream before the launch of the Kickstarter campaign for Cyberpunk 2077 Gangs of Night City. My name is Elena. I am joined here today by producer Kenneth Ten and two of the game's designers, Andrea Carvezio and Alexiu Schneeberger. Did I get that right?
Great.
Great.
Ciao,
How
everybody.
are all of you?
Good, fantastic.
Fine.
Yeah, doing great. It's
After that
wonderful.
spelling, I'm very fine.
Alex usually gets his family name spelled so wrong, but you nailed it. So
Yeah.
good job.
Thank you.
Nice.
That is a lot of consonants together. So I don't think our audience met Alexiu yet. Last time in our last live stream, we had Kenneth, Andrea, and Huger, another of the game's designers, on. So why don't you introduce yourself, Alexiu?
I'm a game designer and game developer or come on from 4 years now, Andrea, I suppose.
Something like that. Yeah, I don't keep
Because-
track, but
Me
I see
neither.
you every day since a lot of time. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of
When you-
time.
When you have fun, you don't take time.
Yeah.
You don't watch the watch. So, and I worked on some our big hit in the Marvel United, and I did Mayhem, the animation collection, and I worked on Fairy Tail In of Paolo Mori, and something else that I start to forget because I'm too focused on what I do now. So.
Now that you can't mention.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But
that
yes.
must be a hard part of being a designer. Like your head is always on the game that you absolutely cannot talk about.
Yeah,
Yes.
Exactly.
that's part of the curse. And the part
Obviously,
that-
I'm
I mean-
the design, a part of the design team of our Cyberpunk. So
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
And,
there are so many perks in our line of work, so it's a small burden to carry that we can't really talk about what we are working
Yeah.
on now. But I mean, still doing some finishing touches on Cyberpunk, so it's great to be here.
Yeah.
But no more excuses to play the video game, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Mm.
I did all the
Yeah,
too.
we did.
all the quests and the main.
all the quests.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
What
no,
about-
I mean,
100
What about-
hours game.
So sorry, go ahead.
Alex is very professional doing research. He wants to
Yeah,
know
sure.
everything.
only
look
for
at
research.
Everything. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
only for research. We
Only for
swear
research.
it was all research only.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
why you play during work hours, right? Because it's work.
Yeah,
You-
absolutely.
That's my best call. When they call me, I always say I cannot reply now because I'm playing. I'm not working.
How did you spec your character, by the way? So I wanted to know, like, how I spec'd it to technical ability and hacking. So quick hacking and technical ability were my core skills. Did you do something else? Sneaking, a body? I didn't find much use for me for sneaking in the game. How did you play your game?
I mostly did everything I could do. Like Andrea say, I try everything in the game. Like I'm a berserk Bazinga, and to sneaky every quest. I could try to quick hack everyone, and the best strategy for me was to have AI weapon,
Mm.
and stay inside a small room and start to kill everyone.
Smart
Yeah.
weapons. Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
so
they
apparently... Sorry, yeah, please go on.
they can go through the wall, so they cannot enter, but they die. So
Right.
cheap, easy.
So I remember when I was flattening the game the first time, I thought that the game was actually was easy on towards the end because I had Contagion, I had the legendary Contagion
Yeah.
quick hack, and so Contagion you can see through walls, so you ping, you see them, and then you Contagion, and then the entire hideout of like 50 guys just get mowed down by Contagion. And then only in the newest edition did I realize that was actually a bug. so you couldn't quick hack them through walls. You had to see them. I was like, no, I cheesed my way through the game the first time. And I was like, I
You
have
cannot
to wait
cheese
again.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, to set the record straight, we don't really play video games at work or during office hours.
Yeah, sure.
We do that in our free time, but we tell wives and girlfriends and family, "Oh, honey, it's for work." That's what we do.
That's the best part.
It happens that we play board games at work. Yeah, that's part of our job.
Well,
But as you can
I mean-
imagine, that's less fun than it seems sometimes, because we mostly play to analyze if it's published games, or to do analysis post after the game.
I
And
I think Kuri once told me that a common saying among you guys is that give a man a game and he'll have fun for a day. Teach a man how to do games and he'll never have fun again.
yes,
yes.
exactly. I mean, fun is like a forbidden word in our vocabulary. It's it can be interesting, but it's also very stressing most of the time.
Yeah.
Especially when games are not working. And I mean Cyberpunk has been in development for a lot of time, because we wanted to really be sure to get the right mechanics, the right feeling, to be able to bring the world of the video game to the table the way we want it to be. And it's not been an easy task. And I remember days spent basically banging our head against the wall trying to find a solution to problems. So it's very rewarding when at the end you have a very good solid game and people enjoy to play. So our work, our job is amazing and fantastic, but there are hard days, hard weeks, and this game has caused quite a few of those to the whole group. But at the end, I think we are very, very proud of what we did at the end. So
Speaking about that, I think it's time we dive in the game itself. So you said this was a rewarding but daunting task, and why is that? What can we expect of Cyberpunk Gangs of Night City?
Yeah. Well, you can expect the players are really in charge of a whole gang. They don't play as single character. We didn't want it to recreate a single player experience. Can I do some little design philosophy for 2 minutes, no more, and then I promise? I think that when you are making a board game out of a video game license, or just inspired by a video game, you should not try to mimic the gameplay of the video game. The game should not be the same exact experience, because you are never going to succeed in that case. The video game response to your commands, to your mind inputs, is too fast, and you're never going to get that with a board game. But with a board game, you can take show things from a different angle, show a different perspective, give more depth to the strategy, to the story. You can tell a different story that is still totally embedded in the same world, with the tools that you have as a board game designer, which are similar but different from the tools that video game designers use. Stop with the philosophy, diving into the game. So we wanted to have the players in charge of a gang. So fighting for controlling the territory, and especially to establish their street cred. At the end, everything in the game is about gaining or losing or wasting your street cred, your street reputation. That's what will end up with you on top or at the bottom of the feeding chain in Night City. So it's focus on that, and focus on you managing your gang. Each gang is unique, with unique powers, unique abilities, but they basically all do the same things. So there are like 4 main areas or things happening in the world. You will be fighting, and so you need fighting power for that. So solos, which are basically your fighters, and weapons to upgrade. But you will also be dealing with shady business around the city, and hiring more muscles, and hiring edge runners to help you with several tasks. And that's what your fixer are for, also a little bit of territory control. And then you have the net, and you try to steal corporate secrets from the powerful corporation, and that's what your net runners will do. So all the gangs do that, but some of them are better in some have skills and powers that help them mostly with one or another of those tasks, and some other just have a different playing style that can be more easily adapted to all of those things, but with a unique shape. So I think we also succeeded in making them very very unique and a different experience for the players. But I think I spoke too much, so
No,
I
not at
can
all.
it for Alexio.
In fact, that cues us right into our next topic, which are the gangs. We have been meeting them for the past few weeks. So, and you mentioned that there is some asymmetry in them. So I'll pass the baton to Alexio. Alexio, what can you tell us about the gangs?
We before doing the gangs, we play the game, and not Andrea, obviously, but we play the game, and obviously we talk with Andrea what the gangs do and what was the experience. Every gangs have a special characteristic, like the Maelstrom. Oh, sorry. Give me a second. The Tiger Cross, I want to say. They want to revenge. Okay. And we start to think how we can use our mechanics to give street cred. Okay. Because you get a revenge of what the other have done to you. Okay. And when we make the Valentinos. Okay. Oh, hi, Francesco. Ruger is online.
Yes, John.
Hello there.
When we do the Valentinos, we try to give the sense of the opportunity, okay, they can get in the game and how they get it. Okay, and so every I need a second. Okay. Sorry. Every one of them, Andrea?
Yeah, I can keep it from there, Alex, if you need. I mean,
Okay.
but I think, yeah, each gang is really unique. As Alexio was saying, Valentinos, they have all these contacts with the city and the world, so they will get exclusive opportunities bring to them by the people they work with. They are the gang that has more relationship with the, let's call it, neighborhood, but I mean, you see what I mean. So and the Voodoo Boys, of course, they excel in hacking and running, and they can use also that to be really deadly in combat. So each gang really has a unique playing style. Maelstrom go for aggression and cyber modifications of their body, so they will bring the coolest weapons to a firefight probably, and they are the most interested in starting a firefight. However, starting a firefight against Tiger Claws might prove to be not your best option, because they will get revenge and a lot of street credits for that. And this is also how the different gang playing styles interact and influence each other. So it's, I would say, there are many games where you have your own faction, and you build your strategy on that, and you try just to optimize your strategy, and you do the best you can what your faction knows to do. That's not the best thing you can do, the best tactics or strategy in Cyberpunk. You need to be aware of what everybody else is doing, and you need to interfere with the other player's plan, because you never know. It's not a rush to who is going to be more efficient in this Euro game style game. No, 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 no. You are going to lose unit. You are going to be wiped away from the board if you don't pay attention. You're going to lose all your precious opportunity you are trying to fulfill if you are not aware of what's going on. Plus, the world is doing stuff, the city is doing stuff, corporations are doing stuff, and if you don't pay attention, there are high payouts that you are going to miss. So,
You can add something.
Yeah, sure.
In the game, is a system asynchronous. So the player, when they do something and get something back, is not in the same time. So each round, you have to check what the other do, because they can steal from you the opportunity before you start to think to get that. So the good part, like Andrea said, is you have a special power, okay, a specialty for your gang, but it's not the focus to play on to win the game. You must, there is. I suppose you will show the story, because the story drive the player inside the game to gain more street credits than everyone else.
Before we dive in deeper into the gameplay, like you said, let me just address a question that I saw here about the complexity of the game. Will it be as simple as Zombicide or more complex like Euro-style games? I think you touched upon that briefly, Andrea.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's neither of those things. It's it's more complex than the average Zombicide, or let's say it's more complex than the average Simon games, but it's not complex in a Euro style complexity. It's not that much Euro. The core mechanics might remind you of something a little bit Euro. You have your actions to do, and you can spend 2 actions in your turn, but the dynamics of the game are brutal. It's all about fighting. It's cutthroating your opponents. It's betraying deals. It's catching an opportunity, hiring an edge runner before the other do. So yeah, more complex. No, not Euro style.
There. Anything to add there, Kenneth? From I don't know. You've probably played this one a lot as the producer of the game. So.
Yes, and as a fan of Zombicide as well, I it's not a fair comparison because this is an area control game, right? And Zombicide's more like you choose your characters to play. So in that sense, it is much more complex because you have to think about area control, area management. I have to think about the different aspects of what I can do, like because there's quite a lot going at one time in the game that you can do, and actually a lot of parts of the game that some games I've completely ignored while playing. Like for example, you can omit net running if it's just not your thing. Yeah, you can omit combat if it's not your thing, and you just aim to find the cards that will give you the best benefit when you lose combat. You know, that's that sort of thing. So there are a lot of different parts of the game that you need to split your mind on and see how the other players are interacting with the bot. So it's definitely not as simple as Zombicide, I would say. It's also not a fair comparison to compare Zombicide to this area control game.
Yeah, I agree with Kent. Probably it is more fair to compare it with Rising Sun, Anchor, Blood Rage, and because they belong to the very same category of game,
Yeah.
and probably Cyberpunk it's like 20% more complex than Rising Sun,
Right.
20 to 30. So it's the same experience, but adding the stories, it's mostly because of the stories, because the main mechanic is not that more complex. So the way the game works, it's not more complex, but the stories will add a layer of complexity that sure makes it a little more. But it's also very rewarding because the story makes you really feel the life of the city.
Before we move on, um, uh, just so we don't cover all gameplay first, because we still have a lot to talk about, but we do have a trailer that I think might clear things up for people a little bit on all the things we're touching here. So, time for the trailer. Everyone ready? Spoiler time, I guess. Okay, see you all after the trailer. Ooh,
Wow.
Amazing.
That was a ride.
Very cool.
I mean,
Totally
like-
different from my prototype.
yeah.
Yeah, and not sure my table will handle the graph. I love this.
The best.
Yeah. No, well, can we spend a second just saying that the artwork and the sculpts are so amazing, and the art
Yeah.
department, with the help of CDPR, of course, has done an incredible job on this. It's, I mean, wow. Every time I look at something from the game, I am blown away by how cool it looks, how great it is, and still it's totally easy to play with it, which is important, of course, for us designers, but it looks so cool and unique. So that's also, I don't think there are any other board games looking so cool right now around.
Yeah, I think the mix in the trailer with the graphics from the video game and the board game really shows how closely the art direction made the look and feel match. Like, the experience, the aspects of the experience that you guys transported to the game, not just in terms of gameplay, but also in terms of table presence. So I really, really enjoy it.
Yeah, I
Congrats,
think
Kenneth. Congrats, production.
Yeah, good
oh,
job.
definitely. Yeah, it's a big team effort. I think that was the intention of the graphic design team from the start. It was a real eye opener seeing like professionals doing their work. Every iteration of like when a new graphic design will come out and then they say, all right, we've tweaked this, the UI now looks cleaner, we've shifted this so that the eyes will travel easier to see the different elements and how everything is so clean. I think a lot of graphic design has to like good graphic design has has the experience of the user built into it, and like this really pushed it to the level just to see how our graphic design team has worked on this game. It's quite
Yeah.
incredible. Also how they also try to incorporate the cyberpunk ishness of the game along with the ease of the UI. It's fantastic. It's really
And also, we kind of throw a curveball to production, saying, "Oh, but we need gaming pieces and minis to have three different base shapes, which is actually four if we count the edge runners." And I remember they were so happy to hear that. I mean, Kenneth has been so good. He said, okay, we take it as a challenge. We will do a great job. And now we have miniature that players can really easily distinguish from each other, from one side to the other of the table, which is important for the gameplay. As I was saying,
Yeah.
in the gameplay, you need to know, the Tiger Claws have a net runner there. Or Maelstrom have a solo in a neighboring district, so I need to pay attention to that. So that was really, really important. And
I totally remember when we say to Kenneth, you remember the UI of the map that it was okay. So, can we change it? Do you remember?
yeah. Anyway, yeah, I mean, even more so for this game because you have to see like each gang has 9 miniatures in total, and if every gang hires all of them in a 4-player game, there'll be 36 miniatures on the board, and you need to know like which district has how many solos, how many techies, how many netrunners. So it's even more important that the pieces are separate and distinct from each other. Yeah.
Mhm.
I see a question here that I think is interesting. Let me just get it really quickly. Will the system of the game help balance against players that have played multiple times and mastered each faction, or would bringing in new players to existing players be handicapped? Wait, to existing players be handicapping the new player? I think that's a specific question to this game, but also a general question about game design in general. I think, right? It's always an issue.
I mean, experience, of course, counts in playing, and it will be unfair to reset everybody on ground level, just the sake of making the game totally balanced, to give new players the same winning chances of experienced players. What experienced players can do, and that's allowed by the game and by the gaming rules, is to let beginner players playing with the gangs that are more beginner friendly, and there are some that are more beginner friendly than others. I will say, I mean, Tiger Claws are not a gang I would suggest to somebody that is playing for the first time. That person is probably not going to win the game and not going to do really, really well. While other gangs, let's mention probably the Valentinos, but also, I mean, the Maelstrom are very straightforward to use, might perform well even if played by an absolute beginner. So by choosing correctly and distributing correctly the gangs, yes, but that's not an inherent feature of the game, and it will be unfair because it will mean that the game needs no skill at all to be played if we somehow erase the knowledge and the mastering of the game.
Can
So yeah,
can I add
Alexio,
something?
feel free to add. Yeah.
Yeah, we know it because we know we make the design. So there is the problem that when someone is too good, the other could be frustrated about it.
Yeah.
But we need to remember two things about the game, and one is area control. So the other player, unless you are a 1 versus 1, can talk and say, okay, we need to stop him before start to be a problem. The second, we add some randomness inside the game with the combat cards, with the net running, with the opportunity. So you cannot play the same game 2 times in a row. It's nearly impossible because the first card in the combat give you a huge advantage to the others, and the next time when you don't find the same card, so you cannot play the same tactics, and you need to do something else. And we have the story. So the story is as branch, okay, and the players can collaborate to what branch they want to play, and can be one that is not good for the players that is winning. Okay.
Yeah.
The gangs can unite against the winning player.
No, it's not like this. It's more like, okay,
But
oh,
it's
you help me, oh, I fuck you. Oh, sorry.
no. Let's say the stories are mostly about corporations, and corporations will have a keen eye on gangs that are trying to overextend their control, overextend their power. So, in a way, stories were designed to partially do that. But it's not automatic as maybe Chase will want it to be. So yes, again, it's yes and no. It's something that is in the game, but might not happen every time you play.
Few other questions before we move on. How many gangs are in the game? You mentioned some beginner-friendly gangs and some harder ones. How many are there?
Well, the core set has 4 gangs, which
4 gangs.
we went already through them. Then I mean, it's a Kickstarter.
Also,
Which
there is
gangs
a
would you
two.
recommend to
Oh,
be
please.
beginner friendly? Actually, yeah. Between the Maelstrom, the Valentinos, Voodoo Boys, and Tiger Claws.
To a new player, well, it depends on the preferred playing style.
Great.
So if you are I mean, a more interaction-loving player, then the Maelstrom are the preferred. I mean, if you love to wipe the ground with the blood of your enemies, Maelstrom are your choice. If you are more strategic player, I hate to say Euro style player, but more into thinking, trying to find your combos of cards, then Valentinos are for you. And if you love pushing your luck, go with the Voodoo Boys and have a lot of fun. So I 3 gangs out of 4 in the core set are very good for player approaching the game for the first time. And while Tiger Claws are there maybe for your second game, or if you are playing 4 people, your first play, I would suggest give the Tiger Claws to the player that read the rules or that is more used to this type of area control kind of games.
Yeah, I'd second Maelstrom as well. The ability was very combat focused and pretty easy to understand. Yeah.
For my next question, it's a two-part question, and I'm let's see how I can read it. I'll go back and forth a little bit. First question is there solo mode so I can play it alone? And part two says, will my wife play this with me? If no, C1. I would
So
argue that this is more a question to your wife.
Yeah.
I cannot I cannot really answer that. So let's go back to question one. Is there solo?
I would like to address question two first. Actually, I think if
Okay.
it is a competitive game, so depends on whether your wife is up for competitive or cooperative games. If she
Yeah.
likes competitiveness and like she likes a head-on clashing against you, I think this game is perfect. And to see question one, this game is currently at set for 2 to 4 players. And yeah, it is
Which
an
is
area control game.
expected for an
Yeah, for
area
an area
control.
control game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a competitive game.
yeah. But who knows?
I mean,
Who
follow
knows?
us. Follow the Kickstarter. You never know.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to go in depth about something that you guys have touched upon and is my favorite aspect of the game personally, which are the branching storylines.
Yeah.
So this game, what's unique about this game is that it mixes area control and the RPG aspect, which is the fact that this is a living world in which things happen regardless of you, even.
Yeah.
Let's say. So, how does this work in Cyberpunk?
Okay. So we have stories in the game. We have a couple of stories already in the core box. I think it's Kenneth. How many are them?
I think they're four.
Four.
4.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So while one, which is called, I think we can say the name, it's Night City Tour. That's procedurally generated, so it's not a branching story. It's more a way to show you things going around. The other trees are full branching stories. Each one is really unique. Each one of them is linked to a different corporation in the world of Cyberpunk, and it's something that is happening in the city, regardless of the gangs. Uh, However, this will present to the gangs opportunities, dangers, modification, changes to the city. Maybe there is there are more mercenaries roaming in the streets, or maybe a corporation has lost something and they want it back so desperately that they are looking for the help of the gangs to retrieve whatever they have lost. And players have a decision on what to do and how to interact with the stories. However, this is not a choose your adventure type of games. There is never a point in those branches where the decisions which branch the story will take, it's totally up to the players. It's up to their combined actions. There is never a point where is okay. Now the player vote if the story goes left or right. Nothing like that is happening. But there might be okay. You have this much time to find what Arasaka is missing. Or if a gang has spread too much by now, this happen, otherwise that other thing will happen. Or if the gang have been poking their nose too much into corporate secrets, of course the corporations might retaliate somehow. If they've been very good and able to not being caught, then something else will happen. So it's not it's informed by player actions but not by player decisions. And I think this is where we struggle a little bit at the beginning, but where we find the perfect balance of giving the feeling of the city reacting to the players, and sometimes the city will not react in the way the players expect or would like or will suppose. So you are in for a couple of surprises during the stories.
Let me see, since we've got one story out, the Arasaka story, the cost of success, maybe we can even talk about it, because I'm pretty sure people out there are gonna screen capture this and then zoom just to read the flavor text. We're not gonna spoil anything, but I think we can tell the premise of the story. The cost of success
Mhm.
is where an Arasaka couple was it he abandoned, he stole some corporate secrets from Arasaka, and he's now in hiding. The gangs got rid of it, and so it's up to all of the gangs in the city to try to find this agent, and then they get to decide what to do with the agent. For example, let's say if a gang captures the agent, and do they capture him to sell the agent back to Arasaka, or do they push him for the information that he stole from Arasaka? And that kind of branches out. That's one of the decisions in this story, right?
Really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's basically what Andrea said. It is not a single player's decision on how the story branches, but it is the cumulative decisions of all the players working against or with each other, and that's how the story will unfold, essentially.
If you guys want to see the game in action, we do have a gameplay video going live later today in the Quackalope channel. And Andrea took part in it, right? Andrea,
I
how
mean,
was it? What can we expect?
you can expect. Something I'm not sure if we mentioned that, but the game also, just like video games, we put a tutorial mode in the game, partially because of the complexity of the game. So you will be seeing us playing the tutorial game, which is great. So in the tutorial game, you basically don't use the stories. You don't add the stories to the game. Everything else is there, but not the stories. And the game is a bit shorter. It's a great way to learn how the game works. And I will personally recommend everyone. It doesn't matter if you feel you are an experienced gamer, you know everything about Cyberpunk, you have read the rules 3 times. Your first gameplay, please play the tutorial. I assure you it's going to be great fun. It's going to be fast also. It's a game that lasts like 30, 40 minutes, not more. We sometimes even play the tutorial just when we don't have too much time to go through a full stories, and it feels like a full and complete game by itself. Of course, stories add more variety, complexity, and the story element. So yeah, you can expect that, and we basically go through a whole game and teach all the rules of the game. And well, you can see myself fighting desperately to survive in the city, but I don't know that how much that's interesting for the audience.
So that also answers an earlier question about newcomers versus people with experience, because you're probably the most experienced person in for this game, and you still had to fight for your street cred.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see, you can see. Of course, you can see in the gameplay that, I mean, the difference between your first game and your, don't remember how many, is still there, but they gave me a hard time.
Well, I think we're reaching the end of the time we had for today. I think maybe we have time for a few final questions. So if you guys have questions, just drop them in the comments. We have about 5 minutes left. I'll start with this one. How much inspiration have you gotten from previous cyberpunk themed games like Netrunner?
Well, very
Mostly
difficult.
from the book, that
Yes.
talk about cyberpunk and films, not the game.
I mean, cyberpunk is a whole setting. It's like saying fantasy.
Exactly.
So we took a lot of inspiration, not only from the video game, but from everything that is cyberpunk. Say that, we know there are many other excellent cyberpunk themed games. We've played them, most of them, and we like them, but we try to make our own unique game and unique world. I mean, why are we doing something if there is something else that already works? We wanted to create something totally original and unique, and this is what we have done.
In terms of graphics, I think we already had the base template. The video game was a very good space for us to proceed primarily because like other cyberpunkish settings like Blade Runner is about a bit more gothic, it's a bit more dark and rainy, but like Cyberpunk 2077 in particular has a lot of like bright neon and like a very showy, flashy sort of setting, and that's the sort of inspiration we took from for the graphics of the game.
Anything to add there, Alexio?
Yeah, but something small. That when I make a game with the others, our team, we try to give a different experience every time. But you can play from the start because there is an appealing side the game that tell you how to play the game, but it's different. So, and I try my max to do that. So,
Well, I have a final question of my own, which I'd like all of you to answer. You already know my answer, so I guess it's only fair that you answer this question. What is your personal favorite thing about the game? It can be a gameplay aspect, it can be a component, a miniature, or a character, a style of play. What is it? I'll go clockwise. So I'll start with Kenneth.
Oh no, what a difficult question. I can't pick a favorite. No, I in particular I like how they the game the themes the theme supplements the game mechanics. I feel like we didn't create a board game from the video game. We created an area control game. This felt like an area control game that takes place in the cyberpunk world setting. There's no sort of like compromise from what I can see, but it's just very well themed. I enjoy experiencing the world from a different angle, because in the game you get to play as the main character, but this you get to play as the gang, and that brings so much more dynamic to the world that after playing this game, Cyberpunk Gangs of Night City, the board game, I went back to the video game and I went, oh hey, I know so much more now about the Voodoo Boys. Oh my god, the Maelstrom, this entire faction is like, this is their history and this is their law. Like, it was very exciting to see the bits from the board game that I never noticed before in the video game after playing the board game, and that was just what really like attracted me to this board game.
Good answer. You're quick
Yeah.
thinking and good. Now on for Andrea.
I mean, it's really difficult to do any better than Kenneth. I mean, my single favorite thing is actually in a stretch goal, so I can't definitely discuss that.
Tell me after we end this call. I want to know.
Yeah.
me too, Andrea.
Oh, you both know it has something to do with a wolf. But yeah, I mean, everything can say. I think, yeah, and the way it's an area control that really gives you the feeling of a world, of a living world, and that's unique. And I'm so proud of what we did with that. Because I mean, I like area control games, but usually you feel like you're playing on an atlas, on a map, just deploying troops. And I mean, we know that one thing is the generals playing in the room with the war map and moving troops around, and one thing is what is really happening. And this time the map reacts, and I'm so proud of that.
Finally, Alexio.
I have two things. I'm sorry, but it's
No,
short.
it's fine.
One, okay. The first one is how we resolve the conflicts inside the game, because you win, but you don't win, and it's the base on the Cyberpunk team. You never exit like a winner. Okay, and that's the my favorite part in the game. You kill someone, but you give street cred, or you kill someone and he gets resources, and or you lose your minion, but who cares? I don't need them. I can do something else. And the part that give you the Cyberpunk team so cruel, but so opportunist. Okay, in what you want. And the second part is the depth about the game. When you play the game, it's a simple game. You do street cred. Later, you replay the game and you start to understand how the area control work. And you replay the game and you start to why you need the area control and the other part like opportunity and etc. And more play you do, more in the depth of the game you go. Andrea, I don't remember how many games we have played, but I know it's 500 games, and it's like 500 hours, like it's 750 hours, okay, 750 hours of play, and it's never get bored. Okay, like I don't want to play. I just played the Maelstrom. I don't want to play the Maelstrom again. It's like I want to play the Maelstrom and I want to try this. And in this game, I want to try that. And this time, I want to dig the weapons to check to find what I want, etc., etc., etc. This is the big part in the game that I like. More you play, more you understand how you can go down to check how much the game can give you back.
Okay, very different and interesting answers. Yes, sorry,
And
I
guys,
cut you out.
gameplay is done. It's not going to be touched. As Alexio said, we played
No
500
more,
and more
please.
games. It's perfect as it is. Won't change after the campaign, won't change during the campaign. Everything about the gameplay is done. We are not changing.
And we
Wow,
should
that's a
just maybe-
statement.
Yeah,
You
it
ju-
is
I
a
think you
statement.
just jinxed it.
I mean,
We'll
we might-
scratch the game and go back to the
we
Yeah,
might
yeah.
change a few numbers if we really have to.
touch
No,
wood,
no.
touch wood.
No,
Not
no.
wood.
Touch wood.
Throw salt behind
No,
the back.
no,
No, no.
Touch iron. Touch iron.
Well, I think that's what we had for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you all for joining
Thank you.
us. We will
Thank
see
you.
you all very soon. Next week, the campaign launches on Tuesday, 3 p.m. EST.
Nice.
So, of course, on Friday, we'll have our weekend review and look back on the whole week, the game, your questions, whatever stretch goals we have unlocked until then. So, you won't miss us too much. Don't worry. Thank you all. I guess I'll see you all soon.
Yeah. Thank
See you
you.
soon.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye
Ciao.
bye.
Let's play this
Bye.
game.